Hey, everybody, welcome on back to the 13th round. I got a legend back. I'm considering him a friend now. I think I'm at the point where there's some name recognition, some face recognition. I have the benefit of looking like a fucking giant baby, but it's Oscar De La Hoya. Oscar De La Hoya What's up, baby? How are you? Oscar De La Hoya started this year with a pretty benign tweet on January 14th. And again, it seems like I'm stalking this guy. I apologize. He tweets out, "Can we get back to real boxing soon?" And since then, he's put together a hell of a card on January 28th, which we're going to talk about. And he's also in the midst of finalizing a fight that everybody wants to see. Oscar, welcome back. Let's get into it. Let's talk January 28th first, because I know you're a promoter and that's what we want to do. We want to promote. Talk to me about it. Talk to me about Alexis Rocha. Talk to me about this guy that you pulled out of YouTube and you're about to make a star, Floyd Schofield. So we're going to be, for everyone who doesn't know, January 28th, it's going to be on DAZN. It's going to be in the state-of-the-art rocket ship YouTube theater in California. Talk to me about it.
No bad seat. I mean, tickets are going fast, but yeah, Rocha's like knocking on everybody's door now. He's a welterweight who is in line for a world title. So he wins this one Saturday on DAZN, and he's right there, ready to face anybody for that world title belt. So, but what I'm really excited about is Floyd Schofield, who's the co-main event. Mm-hmm. You know, I found this kid on YouTube. I found him on the gram, and I kept hearing his story. About him and his father being homeless,
right,
for a long time, and so when he was a kid, and so it caught my eye and it caught my attention, and so every time I saw this kid's gram, he was just working out hard, and so the discipline that this kid has is amazing, and the talent he has. So I'm putting him on the co-main event in a tough fight. If he wins this one, he's ready for a world title with only 12 fights. So I have high expectations for Floyd Schofield.
12-0. Are you throwing him to the Lions a little quick, Oscar? I mean, I know you're saying the kid's as tough as nails in the background and all that stuff, but we'll talk about, Mungia in a little bit of a different road between those two fighters. Yeah. Are we pushing this kid through? I mean, I'm going to be tuning in. Can't wait to see this kid fight and all that stuff. But what makes you think that he's ready? What makes you think that a kid who's only will be 13 fights at that time, 13-0? What makes you think he's ready?
Yeah, I mean, I think, look, you have to have the eye for it too. As a promoter, as a fighter myself, I've been in this game for 40 plus years, and you have to have an eye for talent. And I mean, I have a kid fighting on the same card who has 5 fights and is ready for a world title in his next fight. So you have to have. There's special fighters out there, and Floyd is a special fighter. He's ready. He's ready. He's got the talent. He's got power. He's got skill. He's got the mentality. There's just fighters that are built that way. There's fighters who win a world title when they are 30-0, and there's fighters who win a world title when they're 8-0, like Lomachenko.
Right. Yeah. I mean, again, but he had that gigantic amateur career and whatnot. Yeah. But again, for people who want to tune in and watch this prodigy, Jan 28th, only on DAZN. Let's get into another small fight that you're working with. So Ryan Garcia versus Tank Davis, the fight that everybody wants to see, the fight that I was calling a 50-50 fight when people weren't calling it a 50-50 fight. Oscar, if they were going to make odds on this fight, I think Tank would have been the favorite going into it until Tank, his last fight, how that fight kind of dragged out. I think he's coming a little bit more back to earth. And I think that Ryan, even though he's been, some people saying he's inactive and stuff like that because he had skipped the shrug fight in between, I think this is a 50-50 fight. How do you see this one playing out? Before I say that, is this a done deal?
Almost. It's almost, but it will be a done deal very soon. So that's why I'm so optimistic now that, the ball's in my court. I have the contracts. We're reviewing it, just crossing the T's, dotting the I's. That's all there is to it. Announcement will come soon, but this is probably the biggest fight in the last 10 years for boxing. This is going to be, like you said, a 50-50 fight. I have Ryan as the favorite, not just because I promote him, but I mean, look, Ryan has the height, the power, the speed, the IQ. Don't get me wrong, Tank is a devastating puncher. He's a smart fighter. He has the IQ. He has the ring generalship. He has everything. win this fight, but I really feel that the first fighter to make a mistake is going to get knocked out.
Right.
That's how good this fight is going to be.
I think the height means a lot. Like you kind of glance by, but Ryan's around 6'1", right? And
no, Ryan's about 6 feet. Ryan's about 6 feet.
Yeah. So probably one of the tallest guys, if not the tallest guy that Tank has fought in recent memory, at least. Sure. And I think, so, I mean, I don't know how well he's going to create some distance, but I do. I like Garcia in this fight. And I know I was in the minority beforehand. I don't think I am now. Either way, it is a friggin' mega fight. So I can't scoop that. I can't drop right now that this fight has definitely happened.
Right. It's a mega fight, but it's definitely going to happen. I'm telling you, April 15, it will go down.
Excellent. Let's move on. Let's move on into the stable, right? Let's talk about everything.
Yeah.
You would put out there, who do people want to see fight Mungia next? There are people who are, they want like more of a superstar. They want some marquee guy in there.
Oh yeah.
Triple G's name gets bandied about. Charlo's name gets bandied about. Boo Boo gets mentioned every now and again. Where do you see Mungia's next step being?
I can see Mungia fighting Triple G next. We've already made the calls. We've already had some dialogue. That's the fight that has to be made for both guys. Look, Triple G's coming off a loss with Canelo Alvarez, which there's no shame. But if he wants to get back on track, look, he has to have a good win against a good name like Mungia. So Mungia, in order to reach that superstar status, he has to fight a big name like Triple G. So this is the fight that has to be made for both guys. So we've reached out. We're already talking. So I'm excited about that in the near future. We have other guys that are potentials like Charlo. And I'm very optimistic because making Ryan versus Tank opens up the door to make these big fights happen, like Mungia versus Charlo down the road, who is promoted by PBC. So look, I mean, I'm all about working with promoters. I'm all about making the big fights for the fans. That's it.
And okay, so that's an interesting take. These young guys are leading the way. These young guys like Ryan and Tank stepping up and saying, listen, I'm going to get in there and risk my O, are leading the way for people who have been, for lack of a better term, ducking or taking
what's crazy is that it's gonna take these young kids like Ryan and Tank. Yeah, you're right, to pave the way once again, to send the message to all these veteran fighters, like, look, it doesn't matter if you lose. It matters how you lose. So if you go up there and fight against the best and you lose, there's no shame in that.
Right.
So that's why all these fighters are scared to fight each other and they don't want to lose their O and this and that. It's okay. An O doesn't mean anything. An O means a lot if you fight hard inside the ring.
Right. And for people who don't know whether or not Oscar knows what he's talking about, he fought everybody. So, I mean, you have more of a right to say that than most people.
Exactly.
Correct?
No, I fought everybody. I lost. I won. There was no shame in it. It's like I was literally going through my career, and I should have, because I fought everybody, I should have maybe like 2 or 3 losses instead of 6.
Yeah.
Because the fights were close, because the fights were good fights. And there's no shame in that. I actually feel proud that I have 6 losses.
I've never met a boxer who says I had 6 losses and it should have been 9. Every one of you sons of bitches think you have 6 losses and it should have been 3. Every fucking one of you.
Exactly.
What about Berlanga? So Berlanga, comes out hot. This is a Puerto Rican guy from New York. He comes out, his first 16 fights were first round knockouts. I had seen him first on the undercard of the Lomachenko fight. I think Lomachenko Lopez. I think the Teofimo upsets where I first saw him. Guy's a fucking monster. He's come back down to earth. He's been dragged into deep water past couple. He leaves Top Rank. How do you feel about him? Do you see him as a potential opponent for one of you guys, or do you see him as a potential guy for you?
I actually would love to sign him to Golden Boy. We have a lot of great matchups for him, including a Jaime Mungia.
Yeah.
Which would be those Mexican Puerto Rican rivalries in the ring are the best fights ever. Look, Berlanga's a fighter, and I'll tell you the truth, Berlanga's a fighter who is a great talent. I mean, there's no doubt about that. But a lot of times when these fighters, when they taste success at such an early age, you know, and they start to run less miles, they start to they start to spar less rounds because they feel on top of the world. You know, the money's coming in, the fame is coming in. You know, so I think what Berlanga needs, he has a great corner, he has a great team. I wouldn't change that, but I would switch it up for him and, hey, come to Golden Boy. You know, come to Golden Boy and we'll teach you the ropes. We'll get you the right fights. I mean, Top Rank did an amazing job. Bob Arum, I mean, you know, he's a dinosaur, but he's a dinosaur that has you know, the brains to take fighters to the top. I think that Berlanga has a bright future. I think that he can really make some noise in the middleweight division, super middleweight division, and be a world champion.
Yeah, I don't know if he starts to cut down to middleweight again, if he starts to lose any power. He's a very interesting guy. I've met him a couple of times. He seems like a gem of a kid. Zurdo, where do we go next with Zurdo?
Yeah, we have a comeback fight for him. Just to test the water, see where he's at, because I have to tell you the truth, it was pretty disappointing on how he performed against Bivol. Bivol's
a fucking monster.
Yeah,
I mean,
he is.
right? He had a monster year. 2022 is the year of Bivol. He's a fucking monster. That's why I don't want this. But go ahead. What's going to happen with Zerto? I apologize.
Yeah, exactly. What was happening? I mean, and he is a monster. So there is no shame in losing to a Bivol. He took that chance, but you know, the truth is that Zurdo froze. He froze in front of the best fighter on the planet. He froze, but I would have loved to see more action from him. But we're gonna bring him back very soon, possibly in February or March, and get him a win, and then put him back in there with the very best in the light heavyweight division.
Good. What about doing something weird? Like you had said, I read the tweet from the 14th. Can we go back to real boxing? But what about a guy like Fury who says, yeah, I'll unify the division. I'll beat up on that middleweight Usyk, who's now calling him Belly. I like the way that they go back and forth with that. But then I'm going to go fight Ngannou. Like, you got a monster like Zurdo, who's a monster in himself. I mean, is it one of those things? What if one of your guys said, you know what, Oscar, I want to ring a register here. I want to beat up Jake Paul. I want to do something like that. Is that something that can happen within the Golden Boy ranks? I've always been like curious about that.
No, look, I mean, look, what I meant by saying real boxing, I meant it out of passion. I meant it out of, like, you know, let's go back and make these big fights happen. Like, you know, for instance, look, Ryan Garcia has been training since he was 6 years old. Tank Davis has been training since he was 6, 7 years old. So that's all I meant. You know, let's go back to these fighters who were born to do this. You know, I don't mind the Jake Pauls. I actually love Jake Paul. He's amazing.
Right.
I've right from the start have been supporting him 1,000%. But I wouldn't mind fighting, let's say, a Saint Pierre with Zurdo, for instance.
Right.
Why not?
Yeah, to blow up the world and make a bunch of money.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, you're still in shape. Holly won't let you get fat. Why don't you get in there and beat the shit out of one of those guys? You know what I mean? Is that out of the question?
At 50 years old, nothing's out of the question, brother.
I feel the exact opposite. By the way, when I read that tweet, I read it out of frustration because I just watched a full card of a bunch of YouTubers that I didn't know. And I was like, when can we get back to fucking real boxing? I'm going to mention 2 more people. For some reason, I'm pumping up your stable like there's no tomorrow. You're not going to be able to talk about one of these guys, but on the Garcia Tego undercard, I saw this Armenian kid. I fell in love with him. Azat. The Azad, I don't know where he goes from here. Super ban him. He's 21-3. But I'm telling you, if you ever see him on a card, the guy has a ton of personality and he's a fucking scrapper. I'm not going to talk about him anymore, but talk to me about the guy who I think is the cream of the crop in boxing right now. One of the kids that I had the pleasure of sitting down with and talking to. On top of being a gentleman, kid's a stone cold silent killer, and it's Vergil Ortiz Jr. Talk to me about this kid because he's fucking special, Oscar.
Yeah, he is special, man. And look, when we scouted him from the amateurs, we knew that we had something, a diamond in the rough. He was scheduled to fight. He was scheduled to fight in February, and we had to postpone that because his opponent got ill or something happened to him. But we're rescheduling that fight for later in the month. first week in March, but he's ready to fight for a world title. He's ready to fight Errol Spence. He's ready to fight Crawford. He's ready to fight the very best at welterweight. So look, he's got a great record. He's got all knockouts, every single
19-0, 19 knockouts.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So look, whoever he fights, he's going to go for the knockout. That's why Virgil Ortiz is probably the most exciting fighter on the planet today.
Yeah, he's must-see TV. Oscar, the reason that I had you on, obviously, is just to touch base with you and to try and get my audience excited about watching boxing again in 2023. And I think, obviously, with the card on January 28th, right? We got it only on DAZN out of the YouTube theater. And then with the mega fight that's happening in April, you're certainly doing that. Thank you very much for coming back on. And I hope to see you Please don't fucking ignore me next time when you see me ringside. You were talking to somebody else. You do.
Not at all,
remember me.
Hey,
it's great talking to you.
One thing, Ryan Garcia, Tank Davis will light the fire, man. Boxing will be alive and well again. You'll see.
Always a pleasure. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, brother. Thanks.
See you, baby.